What is my anti-tank solution in the new Necron Codex? I answer this and more in today's Q&A. Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, time for another Q&A. This is where I answer your questions that you posted on the previous Q&A video. Before that though, if you would like to keep up to date with the wonders of Warhammer 40k, then please give me a sub and hit the bell button so you don't miss an upload. Okay, so before I answer your questions, I have a question for you. What is your most favourite army that you would never collect? Interesting question, I think. For me, personally, it is ORKS. I actually really like ORKS and how they play on the table. They look like a lot of fun, and indeed I really enjoy painting ORKS. However, because A, my buddy has an ORK army, and B, although I enjoy painting ORKS, I don't think I'd want to paint 100 ORKS. Those are the reasons why I wouldn't take an ORK army. And I'd love to hear your answers. Okay, so now it's time for me to answer your questions. Now if you have a question for me to answer in the next video, please pop that question down in the comments box below. Okay, so the first question is from Wizzard Wargaming, and he says, you say in this video, the last Q&A, you most likely will not start playing Age of Sigmar. However, if you would, what army would you pick and why this army? Okay, that is a very nice question. Thank you for that. So, what army would I pick? Now, I have a standard response for this, and that's lizard men, because I really like lizard men from the old days. Now, having said that, I have to be totally honest, I'm not actually sure that now I would collect lizard men, or whatever their new name is. Sorry, I don't know what the new name is. Because there's been so many fantastic Age of Sigmar models coming out. The new army which has just come out, the Deepkin is it? Those models look fantastic. Now if I was going to collect a new Age of Sigmar army, I'd have to really consider my options. What I do know is that I would buy an army based on the model range rather than the rules. Which models I like the best will be the army that I select. But I think it would be a hard choice because Age of Sigmar have some fantastic models in the range. So the truth is, I don't actually know, but I would enjoy selecting my army. Maybe I should have a closer look at Age of Sigmar stuff and update my choice from lizard men, see if that's still current, to maybe something new. Possibly, I might actually do that. Okay, so next question. I'm going to have to put my glasses on and off in this video just because I can't read. I need glasses to read. Okay, the next question is from Fizz Jizz, and he says, if Necrons would have a super heavy walker, what weapons would it have and which special rules would it receive in your opinion, like quantum shielding or living metal? Okay, a super heavy walker. This is going to be a hard one for me to answer because I'm not really into super heavies and stuff. I don't really know too much about what they actually do. Now, interesting. I suppose just similar rules to what other super heavies have. I assume they've got some very big, nasty weapons. You mentioned quantum shielding, living metal. Definitely should have. I don't know about quantum shielding. Probably a new shielding rule of some description. Probably just something that gives them a good save. So some form of invulnerable save. And then living metal. Yeah, they need living metal, don't they? But that's going to have to be at least gains 3 wounds a turn or something. Something more powerful than the standard rules. It's a bit of a cop-out answer really, but that's mainly because of my knowledge on super heavy walkers. But something with big nasty guns and survivable with a good amount of wounds. And a really cool looking giant Terminator Necron thingy. Thanks for the question. Okay, this is going to be a pain, isn't it? Glasses on and off. Right, so next question is from Michal Urbanski. And he says, what is your anti-tank solution of choice in the new Necron Codex? That's a very good question, and thank you for that. So it is still very, very early days. I think our anti-tank selection is quite similar really to what it was, but just a bit better now. So we've got destroyers, which are cheaper, which helps. They still have their inherent issues of only 3 models. We've got the Doomsday Arc, which is better now, but has its inherent flaw of being very random. We have obviously the Triarch Stalker with the heavy gauze cannon, or twin heavy gauze cannon. Reasonably reliable, but not too many shots. And then of course we've got Forge World with their Tesseract Arc, etc., and the Pylon, etc. So what is my choice? Well, I think it depends on my army list really, which models suit the army list. But from what I've seen so far, probably in the Codex itself, probably heavy destroyers still would be my choice. But updates to come on that in future videos. Okay, so next question is from Daniel Gomes, and he says, I am a new player to Warhammer 40k and I want to buy 2 armies. The first will be Space Marines, and I don't know if the second army should be Orks or Necrons. What do you suggest to new players and why? Okay, that's another good question. Personally, I wouldn't start with 2 armies from the off, unless I was buying something like, say, Forged Bane, where I had both sets of models from the off, from the box set of some description. Especially in 8th edition. I mean, I'm personally struggling to play 2 armies in 8th edition with all of the rules changes and just keeping up with everything, keeping on top of my armies. It's been very, very hard. Now I've got 6 armies and I'm struggling to even just play 2, or at least be up to speed on all of the rules for 2. So I wouldn't recommend you go for 2 straight away. If, however, you did and you were thinking, okay, I've got Space Marines, should I go for Orks or should I go for Necrons? Ultimately, only you can decide that. Which model range do you like the look of? Which play style do you like the look of? Obviously, Orks are more orientated around assault, although Necrons can be very much assault based. They're generally a shooty army. So, and obviously, I'm going to say Necrons because that's my favourite army, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend that to anyone else. I think ultimately it is their personal choice, and from my experience, the best thing to do is go for an army that you like the look of, because regardless of the rules, they may be good now, they may be bad now, but the rules change. But the army and the models that you have will always be with you, and if you love the models, you'll always want to play them regardless of the rules. So hopefully that answer was useful. Okay, so next question is from Keiran, and he says, out of the first founding Space Marine chapters, which would you like to see fall to Chaos, and to what guard? Okay, so sounds like a fluff question. Okay, I am not very good with fluff questions because I just don't really enjoy the fluff too much. Out of the first founding Space Marine chapters, which I haven't got a clue who they are, but I'm going to guess that probably Salamanders were part of the first founding chapters, maybe. And if they are, I think that'd be pretty cool, turning to Chaos. I think Salamanders on fire, like Chaos Space Marines all on fire and stuff, with the old dragons and stuff. I think they made a pretty cool Chaos army. Which would you like to see fall to Chaos? Is that what you mean, become a Chaos army? And what guard? And what guard? Yeah. Space Marines. I haven't got a clue what guard, to be honest with you, but I'm going to say Khorne. I hope that's the sort of answer you were looking for. I'm not really sure, to be honest, but thank you for the question. Okay, next question is from Matt Adams, and he says, do you think there should be a giant model for Necrons, like a Titan, like a giant humanoid or a giant scorpion? I think absolutely there should be big Necron Titan type model, either in the Games Workshop model range. An Imperial Knight equivalent would be pretty cool for Necrons, whether that be a robotic type of unit or a Star Guard type of unit. I think that would be really cool. And in terms of sort of Forge World Titans, I think it would be great to have something. Now, as with the Necron Codex and Index, we've been pushed towards Forge World a bit more, with some of the model ranges that they have, which are great. Obviously anti-tank stuff like the Pylons and the Tesseract Arc. It could be that the Necron model range for Forge World has been selling a lot better, and in that case that may spur them on to do a Titan for Necrons. Who knows? I'm assuming we don't have one because they don't sell enough models, but it would be really cool to see. Thank you for the question, Matt. And the next question is from DMC Draws, and he says, if you were going to design a Necron fortification equivalent to an Imperial Bastion, how would it be armed? Another very good question, which I may not be able to answer. I have a Necron Bastion, which is laser cut card one, a cardboard one, but I've never used it in game because I felt the Necrons just have never really needed it. So I don't actually know the rules for Bastion. I've never faced a Bastion, so it's going to be really difficult for me to answer this question. I suppose I'm going to have to answer with a logical answer, which is that Necrons need more anti-tank, so why not have a great anti-tank weapon on the top of a Bastion? That's going to be my answer. Some form of a heavy Gauss cannon equivalent on the top of the Bastion. Great question, thank you for that one. Next is from Perry Maru, and he says, I'm quite fond of the Sotek exclusive Warlord trait, Hyperlogical Strategist. Last game I played, I recovered about 7 command points. So far, my favourite artifact is Lightning Field, and most definitely my favourite stratagem is Extermination Protocols. For 1 command point, I put out a lot of damage with a squad of destroyers. By the time of your next Q&A, I hope you've had lots of opportunities to use the Necron Codex to answer this question. My actual question is, what are your favourite Warlord trait, artifact and stratagems from the Codex? A very, very good question. I'm with you here. The Hyperlogical Strategist is a fantastic Warlord trait, and I am going to try and get that into most of my lists if I can, because just being able to regain those command points is really, really useful. The power behind the Necron Codex is those stratagems. In terms of the stratagems, it really depends on my army, really. The extermination one is fantastic, especially if you have destroyers. If I'm playing wraiths, I like the stratagem where I can advance and assault. Really, really powerful. Those are probably my 2 favourite stratagems to use. Plus, I still like, although it's 2 command points, I still like the RP ability on wraiths. That, for the Novok Dynasty, in combination with everything else that they have, is actually a very powerful stratagem. And now we've got more CPs from the new battalions to the detachments, etc. I think we've got a lot of power in our codex with the stratagems, and again that's why being able to regain the command points is really, really useful. In terms of artifacts, I have to be honest, I haven't played around too much with those. I think I'm still liking the Veil of Darkness, especially with the new FAQ updates. The Veil of Darkness is still a very, very nice trick to use. So I've been using that quite a lot, but I am going to branch out into some of the other artifacts. I like the Nano Scarab artifact, where you can regain your living metal on both your opponent's turn and your turn, very useful. And then if you die, you can come up on a 4+. I think that's really nice, so I do like that one as well. But I do need to branch out a bit more into the artifacts because I haven't really done that, but I do think we've got some good ones in there. Great question, thank you very much. Right, next question is from Brave Ulysses. No. Brave Ulysses. Right, the next question is from Brave Ulysses. Right, so the next question is from Brave Ulysses. Yes, it took me several takes to say that name. In the new Epoch Begins section of the Codex, there is a report named The Best is Slain, where a legions of Necrons come to the aid of Tau and defeat a tyrant's threat on their behalf. Whilst the intentions of this dynasty are unknown, I found this interesting fluff-wise, what it could mean on the table. Would you like to see a future Necron and Tau alliance? Perhaps Tau are somewhat related to the Necron tier of the old. Would you ever consider allying Tau into your army if this were the case, and they could be officially fielded together? Okay, so I haven't read that. As I said, I've not really read the fluff, but it is very interesting. Tau. I know my answer. My answer is no. A, because I don't like allies. I like my Necron Codex. B, because I'm not a fan of Tau really. Now if, and I have considered this before when allies first came out, if I was going to ally Necrons with an army, it would be ORKS. I did actually consider allying my Necrons with ORKS for just an incy bit. That wasn't because I was a massive fan of allies, it was because it seemed like a good excuse to start an orc army. As I said, I do like orcs, and I like painting orcs. So orcs, yeah, orcs and Necrons, I like that combination. You've got that swarm of orcs just pushing forward, all ready for the assault, and then you've got your Necrons behind them, a phalanx of survivable units with some decent shooting. I think it could work quite well, better than probably a Tau Necron alliance. Okay, great question, thank you for that. Next is Enterprise, and they say, how useful are wraiths in the Codex in 1,000-point games? What is their role? Okay, well, wraiths, I think they're very useful in any game. Just because they are incredibly difficult to kill. Okay, put enough shots into them and I roll bad, they will go down, but on the whole, wraiths are really difficult to kill. Even more difficult to kill at 1,000 points. Now yes, at 55 points a model base, they are not cheap. However, at 1,000 points, I think you can afford to put at least a small unit in there, maybe 3 or 4, possibly 5. That will give your opponent some trouble. At 1,000 points, I like it. So I think they're very viable, and there's only one way to use them. You push them things up front and just charge them towards your enemy. So yeah, wraiths, good choice, good choice. Okay, so the next question is from Aidan Cohen, and he says, what is your least favourite model and how would you make it better? Okay, so my least favourite model, I know what it is, however I still haven't passed full judgment on it. So my least favourite model is the Tyrannocyte. That's the Necron, that's the Tyrannid drop pod. And the reason why I'm not passing judgment on it 100% is because I've never built and painted one. Now for me, personally, I think you can't say you don't like a model until you've built and painted it. And that's because I have experienced this myself, where there's a model that I don't actually like the look of, But once I've had the model and I've built it and I've painted it, I've then changed my mind and I've liked it. So yeah, with that sort of said and done, at the moment it is that Tyranid drop pod. I really don't like it. I think it looks dreadful. How would I change it? I would make it more like my Tyranid drop pods, which are converted to look like the actual model. But I just think it looks better, and I'm just not a fan of that model. I think it's the top section. It just looks awful. But I'm not passing full judgment on that just yet. Okay, so the next question is from Victor Kess, and he says, what do you think of the Forgebane Necrons as a starting army, and which units and equipment will you recommend to Necron players? The Cryptics, the Immortals, the Lich Guard, the Wraiths, how would you expand them? Victor, as I'm sure you know, I have already made a video on this, so if you haven't seen it, how to expand the new Necron box set, video just there, check it out if you are interested. Okay, so the next question is from Mini Warzone, from Pete, and he says, my question this time is, what video series on your channel do you enjoy making the most? And second question, what video series do you find the most difficult to make? That is two very good questions, Pete. Thank you for that. I am going to need to think about this. Okay, so my most favourite video series to make. Can I go to the past? My most favourite video series that I have made on the channel is definitely the Mirror Universe series, which I did for my 3,000 subscriber giveaway, where I had my channel taken over by the Mirror Universe counterpart, Nicholas. This is a Star Trek themed thing where there's a mirror universe basically where everyone is the opposite, and I made a video every day for a whole month as Nicholas, and I had a lot of fun, and actually that's where I found my inner confidence on the channel, because as this character Nicholas, I was very free on the channel, and I did some very silly things on the channel, including wearing a silly moustache for 31 videos, and I had a lot of fun and also did a lot of special effects in that video, and that definitely kick-started me as my confidence grew from that series in the channel, and that's definitely my most favourite series that I've made. Currently, I think Saved by Slaanesh probably is my favourite series to make, because I've been quite free once again on that. I've tried to implement fun into that series as well. So Saved by Slaanesh probably is my current favourite series. Now, which was the most difficult to make? That depends, doesn't it, in which way you're looking at it. We're talking about editing, the time to make it, the content to make it. Let me have a think. Difficult to make. I think the most difficult series to make are tactical videos. Now, I've never been a channel inspired to make tactical videos, because I've always been a bit, I suppose you could say, a bit scared that I put up a tactical video and my tactics are rubbish. Yeah, I mean, as you know, my channel was inspired by Fritz, and Fritz was like the king of tactics, putting up all these tactical videos, and I always thought to myself, I could never do that, you know, that's not me. And my channel went down a different direction around painting and hobby, etc. But what I decided to do with my tactical videos, because I did want to do tactical videos, because I suppose when I went to my first tournament, that's almost forced me to do tactical videos, and what I discovered is that my tactics tend to be based around experience more than being a fantastic list builder. I think I'm quite reasonable at building lists. I think most importantly, I've got a lot of experience of gaming behind me, which really helps me. So my tactical videos are based around my experience more than being the best tactician there is on the internet. I think that comes across in my videos. I've never said that I am the Necron guru of how to win with Necrons and stuff, but what I have said and what I've tried to share is my experience on the table, and my videos are also based around, my tactical videos are also based around getting feedback. So I'm trying to give my advice and my opinion, but at the same time get opinions and advice back. The two-way street of those tactical videos is very, very useful, hopefully for my watchers, but also for myself. So I think they're the hardest ones to make, because when you're making tactical videos, you've got to get everything right. Now, I don't always do that, but things like the stats of the models and how you use them, you've got to get those bits right. Otherwise, how can you make a tactical video if you're talking about the wrong stats? Now, I do make mistakes, and I have made mistakes. If I do, I try to correct them in the description, etc. But I do my best, and I think they're definitely the hardest videos to make. Yeah, tactical videos, the hardest videos to make. Great questions, Pete. Thank you for that. Okay, the next question is from Wolf Brother Mythos, from Frost and Fists, and he says, what was an awesome gaming moment for you? Have you ever had a moment so epic both you and your opponent got excited? I played a lot of games over the years. I know my buddy has the most epic moment, and that's when his grot killed my Forge World avatar. Yeah. Okay, the avatar was down to 1 wound, and the grot, I think at the time the grot couldn't hit it in assault, so he must have been shooting at it. Can't remember, it was a long time ago. But I remember the grot sort of rolled a 6 to get the bullets out, then he rolled a 6 to wound me, and then I rolled a 1 for the avatar, and the avatar fell and died, and my buddy absolutely loved it. And we always say, you know, it's the small stuff that hurts. The big, most powerful guns usually foul, and then your small little bolt gun does the damage, the real damage. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed that anyway. It was fun, and we always remind ourselves of it. I've had many rolls of 6s that have become quite an epic moment, but a moment that we both got excited over. I'm going to say that Forge World avatar thing, because although I was on the wrong side of that moment, it was still fun to see. So I'm going to say that moment. Thanks for the question, Mythos. Okay, next question, and this is the last question. This is from Nerdopolis Prime, and he says, in an all-out war, who and why would win, Klingons or Orcs? Okay, so assuming that we are fighting on a planet rather than space, Klingons or Orcs? It is a hard question, because I think Orcs would have the numbers and they're pretty ferocious in close combat. However, the Klingons have very good fighting skills and they're very brave and honourable. So, would I prefer to face a Klingon or an Orc? That bat'leth looks incredibly nasty. I think Klingons would win. I think the bat'leth and the skills they have with it would win over the brute force of Orcs. That is my answer. Thank you very much to Nerdopolis Prime and to everyone else for all of my questions there. As I said, if you have a question, please pop it down in the comments box below. These videos can only happen with your questions. And if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Hit the IDICBeer icon at the end of the video to keep up to date with the wonders of Warhammer 40k. Beam me up!